stories that affect you and I. With you in mind, we facilitate lively discussions, debates, and interviews on the topics that matter most to you and I. From social justice to economic empowerment, education to healthcare, governance, and more. Tackling tough topics and amplifying your voice. Join the conversation and make your voice count. The people's voice. Make your voice count.
We encourage you to click on the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Voice of the People TV. Also follow us on all our social media platforms. We are at VOPTV Live. Visit our website www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. Also watch us live on SLTV channel 264. VOPTV, Voice of the People Television.
Behind every broken deck lies a broken promise. Education shapes the nations, but who is asking the right questions? Introducing Edu Dialogue, the show that goes beyond the surface, exposes the cracks, the corruption, and the silence in Nigeria's education system. Edu Dialogue, Saturdays, 3 p.m., only on VOP TV. We break the biggest stories, from missing funds to policy failures. We ask the tough questions and demand real answers. Edu Dialogue, this Saturday, 3 p.m. on Voice of the People Television.
The red carpets, awards, the razzmatazz, music, fashion, interviews, and more. Spotlight on Voice of the People Television. Let's feed you with all the juicy stories in the global entertainment space, bringing you the glitz and glamour as it is hot. Stay tuned to Spotlight, 1 p.m. Monday to Friday. Spotlight on VOP TV. Entertainment like never before.
The 2564 is coming up on Burning 9 right?
The 2564 Atlantic Tower.
What happens in the hush behind hangar doors? Who signs the papers that gamble with lives? Which truths were grounded before they even ever had wings? If you've ever buckled a seatbelt at 30,000 feet, if you've ever stared out of that tiny window and wondered who's really in control of the skies, it isn't just flight, it's power, it's politics, it's pressure sealed in steel. We're peeling back the clouds from runway risks to sky-high secrets. We're diving deep where most dare not to look. Aviation Scope, every Sunday at 7 p.m. only on Voice of the People TV. We don't just report, we reveal. We don't just ask, we uncover. Because when it comes to the skies, ignorance is turbulence. Aviation Scope, the sky isn't the limit, it's just the beginning.
My name is Chelle and here's to VOP TV. Keep watching, stay tuned, do not touch that dial.
My name is Made Kuti and you're watching VOP TV. Keep watching.
Welcome, my name is Zika Davis. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, boys, viewers, everybody, boys and girls. This is VOP TV. Do you know what that means? Voice of the People TV. You don't have a voice, don't come here. You better make sure your voice is heard.
a tournament, yes, that started on December 21st. That was a Sunday, right there, 2025 in Morocco. Yes, I've seen a lot of battles, keenly contested, between 24 teams, and it now has its final two that will be battling for supremacy. The Atlas Lions of Morocco will be going up against the Teranga Lions of Senegal, and a clash, a very, very heavy clash, a clash of the heavyweights, the top two teams in Africa football right now. Good evening and welcome to a wonderful edition of the Locker Room right here on the Voice of the People TV. I am Afiz Ogunbanjo, and of course the semi-finals of the Afcon has come and gone. Yes, let me say one was like a one-way traffic, and the other one was keenly contested with a lot of talking points. The Atlas Lions of Morocco, the hosts of the tournament, up against the Super Eagles of Nigeria, that gradually went through that tournament to become the favorites. And of course, unfortunately, they are now getting to play the Pharaohs of Egypt, of course, in the third place. A lot of people call the Super Eagles of Nigeria the overall best in getting the bronze medal. But of course, they gave their best, but they came up short ultimately against the Atlas Lions. And of course, before we go on the show today, please do well to follow us on all our social media handles. Yes, that's Voice of the People TV. We are on YouTube, Voice of the People TV, and also VOP TV Plus. Like, comment, subscribe to the channels, and of course, turn on the notification bells so that you won't miss any of the exciting episodes on this show, The Locker Room. Of course, joining me very soon will be Mayowa virtually. Of course, we'll be ready to break down all of the stories right here, in the world of the beautiful game, the Jogo Bonito itself. And of course, where do we start? The Super Eagles of Nigeria, they went up against the Atlas Lions of Morocco. It's been a wonderful tournament for them so far. Senegal also were in action against Egypt, and now the two finalists have been determined, and the two teams that will be playing in the third place have also been determined. Nigeria will be up against Egypt in the third place game on Saturday, and on Sunday we'll be seeing the hosts, Atlas Lions of Morocco, up against Senegal. Sadio Mane and Mohamed Salah. Of course, we saw that clash between the two teams, and the Sadio Mane was the one, that he made the whole a lot of difference for that match right there. 1-0 it ended, and of course, in that game, Nigeria against Morocco, a lot of talking points. People have been coming out to blame the officials right here involved in that game. Of course, people are saying the official was not being fair, the referee. But from my own angle here, and I'll be, talking to Mayowa very, very soon, I feel like that game, it was a lack of preparation from the Super Eagles of Nigeria. I mean, there's this saying that you don't change the winning team. You don't change the winning team. You don't change the winning formation. You don't even change the winning tactics. And it's been working. You stifled, the Desert Foxes of Algeria with a particular formation. You stifled Tunisia with that same formation, and you got to that stage, a very, very big stage, and you changed that one up against Morocco. And the Moroccans, I will actually say they came prepared. They really came prepared for that one. Yes, enough of all this referee controversy and all of that. They came prepared for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. The press that the Super Eagles were using up against Algeria was now the one used against them, by the Moroccan team. The likes of Alex Iwobi and Ademola Lookman, they were stifled. Even Victor Osimhen was short of service. Hardly did he get a touch, in the Moroccan box. That one is said a lot. But shout out to Calvin Bassey, who also did well, on the defense line for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Shout out to Semi Ajayi, to Bruno Emechi, who for me I think was Nigeria's most exposed player, because he and Bright Osai Samuel on the flanks as the fullbacks, they were very, very exposed. Bruno Emechi had to come up against a certain Brahim Diaz, who is on form. 5 goals, 5 games so far coming into that semi-final. And of course, the current African Footballer of the Year, Ashraf Hakimi, who on his day is also a big threat, going forward. He had to come up against those two players. And Bruno Emechi, I can say you can hold your head up high, even though you've missed a penalty, but you can hold your head up high. It was really a fantastic performance from the left back. And of course, Osai Samuel, who had to face Abdi Ezal Zuli, who is a very, very good dribbler of the ball. He had to face him on the other side. And also a certain Nus Mazraoui, yes, the Manchester United man. They all came up against Bright Osai Samuel, and he held his own really, really well. Stanley Wabali too. For me, I think generally the Super Eagles, they can draw a lot of positives from this performance. They went on to play 120 minutes without conceding a goal, even though their scoring streak, has come to an end. But they still went on there played 0-0 up until 120 minutes, and of course, you know how it is in penalties. A team, you know, must prevail. But my question is this: a lot of people will be saying penalties is a game of luck, it's a game of lottery, and all of that. But for me, I think you have to train for penalties. You train for penalties. You just don't, you know, say that it's a game of luck. If it's a game of luck, then that means the 90 minutes and the 120 minutes shouldn't be trained for. It should be game of luck. You need to know your opponents. You need to know your goalkeeper, the opponent's goalkeeper. You need to know the takers. You should have some. That's why you have a set piece coach. You should have something, you know, against these guys that, okay, look, this is how they play, you know, in most of their games. You watch videos. And I'm still going to engage Mayowa, you know, also on that one. But let me say, that game, the Super Eagles, for me, could have done better. They should have done better. And of course, people are still coming out to say, Eric Chelle, why are you having late substitutions? You shouldn't be having late substitutions. When you saw that that game wasn't going, you know, in favor of those two forwards, that's talking about Akko Adams and of course Victor Osimhen, we should have taken them off. There's nothing wrong with doing that. You should have taken them off. Put in a certain Paulo Onuachu. If it's Salim Fago you want to bring in, why not? Just bring in people that will change the game. If it's a Samuel Chukwueze, who I'm also arguing should have come on earlier, or it must be Simon too, change your formation. You can change formation within games. He stuck to the 4-4-2 diamond. Lukman and Iwobi were suffering in that midfield. I'm still coming to Rafael Onyedika in a bit. Frank Onyeka as well. They were all suffering from the press, that pressure delivered by the Moroccans, and ultimately they gave in. But Eric Chelle, for me, I think he really should have, you know, done something about that one, and of course make changes. But then Rafael Onyedika too, who was stepping in for the captain, Wilfred Onyeye Ndidi, who was missing through suspension, and of course Rafael Onyedika. He didn't have the best of games, but hey, he can also hold his head up high because the press from the Moroccans was just too much. But when he had the chances, you know, he was giving the ball away too much. Maybe that was why he's coming under a lot of criticism. And of course, in the penalties, very poor penalty from Samuel Chukwueze, especially. I think he should have done better after seeing the goalkeeper, you know, making a save for this team. If that had gone in, trust me, it's the Moroccans that will be doing all the chasing. But then when they saw that that one was missed, he brought them back into the game, and they ultimately got the final ticket. Well, Mayowa, I know you will be joining soon so that we can break this all down together. But let's move on to other stories for now, where we talk about the federal government. Of course, they have commended the Super Eagles for their performance at the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations, praising their display of character, teamwork, and resilience despite their semi-final exit. And the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, expressed the nation's pride in the team, stating that their efforts and commitment throughout the tournament have earned the respect and gratitude of Nigerians at home and abroad. And the Super Eagles were knocked out of the tournament after losing 4-2 to host nation Morocco in a penalty shootout following a goalless draw after extra time. All right, Mayowa is with me. Yes, he's with us right here, and he has joined us. Mayowa, good evening. How did you see that semi-final? The Super Eagles of Nigeria up against the Atlas Lions of Morocco. What are your major talking points? What do you think could have gone right? And also in the Senegal versus Egypt game, that one was was it one-way traffic for you too? Because just like me, I said that game was like one-way traffic, and it is Morocco up against Senegal in the final. What did you make of those two games, Mayowa? Good evening.
It's a bittersweet moment. The boys tried their best. A whole lot of odds were against them. I'm not one to cry about officiating, but you know the officiating yesterday was very poor.
Very poor.
It was so evident that you know CAF wanted to reward Morocco, and you know they actually got it. That's number one. Number two, Rafael Onyedika did not give a good account of himself. You know, in that particular game, he was very, very poor. In that particular game, he didn't give a good account of himself. That was his opportunity to step up, to be counted. You know, he was losing balls with reckless abandon, and you know that was not what we saw when Wilfred Ndidi played. We would have expected, you know, Onyedika to step up. But
Mayowa, isn't that expected? Because Rafael Onyedika, he has this profile of being more of a box-to-box midfielder. He's not the one that will sit. He can roam. He's good with ball progression. What of a certain, you know, Frank Onyeka that was supposed to be beside him? I think that should be the man that will sit back and shield the defense. I think putting Onyedika in front of the defense is like you're putting him in a line of fire now.
Well, sometimes you get to play for the team. It's not all the time you play in your preferred role. We have seen Osimhen, as I said Osimhen, we have seen Iwobi play as a deep line midfielder. When we know that, that is not where his strength is. But, in the case of where the team needs you to do a job, that is what you are supposed to do. Even when he won the ball in the midfield, I can count the number of times he lost possession. He was not aware of what was going on behind him. And, he was so disappointed yesterday. We actually missed, a Wilfred in that particular game. If Ndidi was in that particular game, I think maybe we would have probably nicked it and the rest of that. Apart from the poor officiating, I think Rafael had a very poor game yesterday. Penalty is not, it's not our coach's suit. 2 penalty kick, 2 losses. DR Congo now to Morocco. I think it's high time CAF needs to get out from behind the Moroccan side. The Moroccan, they've continued to save CAF in the last 5 times in the last 5 editions. Most of the competitions that is being held in Africa goes to Morocco. Yeah, and the reason for that is even the next Afcon is going to be held in Morocco. I mean, and we were joking sometimes last year that Morocco, the female team of Morocco, probably win the Afcon, and it's already happening. There will be this bias for the officials to want to favor the Moroccans, and we saw that yesterday. The officiation was so poor, and I hope CAF will be able to do something about that to rectify that. Kudos to the Moroccan side. They were able to get to the finals, and they have the home support behind them. Probably maybe they might do it again. For the Senegalese and the Egyptian side, lackluster performance. Anybody that knows anything about football will already know that the Egyptian side got there by hook or crook. It was not by the strength of their performance. They were able to play effective football and get the winning goals and get the winning goals at the important time. And that's the reason why they've been able to be here. Even the the Ivory Coast side, they were unlucky. That's the reason why the Egyptians were able to go past them. The Ivory Coast played way better than the Egyptian side, but the luck was not on their side, and that's the reason why they were knocked out. Deserved win for Senegal. They controlled the game throughout. 60-27% of possession. They never allowed the Egyptians any time on the ball. Yes, it was a tight game, but eventually the best team actually won that particular game.
Absolutely.
For me, I'll be watching. I will want to support Senegal to
already. It's worth it if you do that, Maiwa, because the officiating in that game really was a poor one. But then, aside of all of that, the officiating, the controversy and all of that one, tactically, where did you think that game was lost by the Super Eagles of Nigeria? Where did you think Eric Chelle, where do you think he got it wrong tactically in that game? Because we saw what they did when they came up in their big games at the Afcon so far. Their big game up against Tunisia, we saw how they stifled the Tunisians. We saw how they stifled the Algerians that also, like Morocco, they've only considered 1 goal before facing the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Was there a change in tactics? Was there a change in formation by Eric Chelle going into that Morocco game? And should it have been changed, also during the course of the game?
I think, first of all, we missed Wilfred Ndidi. The absence of Wilfred Ndidi in that particular game changed a whole lot of things. And the reason for that is this. We had a Rafael Onyedika that couldn't do what a Wilfred Ndidi would do. One thing that Wilfred did do so well was that he was able to break up play and he was able to jumpstart the attack. Wilfred Ndidi could not do that. And that made, it will be a big responsibility. So number 2, I think overall, our guys were a bit jittery. And because the midfield was not in proper shape, you could see that our strikers were coming back. At some point, it was more of a long ball, especially from Calvin Bassey, to probably locate an Osimhen and probably locate an Afcon. And if you look at our last 2 games, that was not how we were playing. It was because the midfield was not in order, and it was forcing our attackers, to come backward, to come and get the ball, and made us also in play to the ball the way we were able to hold on to the ball against Algeria and against the Mozambique side, Mazarawi had the opportunity to be able to peg Osai Samuel back a bit. Osai Samuel was not that fluid because Mazarawi had the field day coming forward, and it was because we couldn't get hold of the ball. And that is where I was a bit disappointed in Rafael Onyedika.
So, are you trying to say, Maiwa,
come in and do the job? Yes.
Are you trying to say that the that 4-4-2 diamond wasn't supposed to be used in that game? Because I remember when we spoke about that formation against Tanzania, we saw the lapses. I think, and Chelle also, he mentioned in the post-match press conference saying that he went into that 4-4-2 diamond. It was even glaring. But my own thing is this: you could see from the game that it's not working. Ademola Lookman and Alex Iwobi, your two creative, the hub, they were marked out by the Moroccans. Why didn't you change something? Why didn't you make your substitutions earlier? Or am I getting something wrong myself?
I think the thing is this: if you look at the first game, what he did in the first game was to play the diamond formation, and we all complained that it will never work. And what he did in the second game, he brought in, some couple of players, and we saw the freedom of Iwobi. And the key to that particular formation that he started using from our second game to the last game we played was Wilfred Ndidi. Wilfred Ndidi was the glue that held them together. Because Wilfred Ndidi was not available, he had to revert back to that, it looks like 2-4 formation, sort of, because of the way Rafael Onyedika is placed. So look at the 4-2-4 formation, meaning we were a bit light in the midfield, and we couldn't contribute. Even at the time when we possession, we were losing possession so quickly, and that would put your defenders under a lot of pressure. If you look at Malawi in that particular game, Mazarawi had a field day against, a bright side somewhere, because he was not pegged back, he was not under a lot of pressure, and that's the reason why he was roaming around the midfield area and the rest of that. So I think I would want to fault Eric Chelle. He hinged all his bets on a Wilfred Ndidi. Wilfred Ndidi was not available. The midfield fell apart, and that was what resulted, in our strikers not getting that ball so much. Also, remember, if you look at that particular game, the Moroccans had a better possession than us. What does that tell you? It means we were not able to control the pace of the game. We were playing at a pace dictated by the Moroccans, and that is not what we have seen in the last 4 games before that particular game. And that is where Chelle got it wrong in that particular game.
Yeah, actually got it wrong right there, Maiwa. Maiwa, also, still moving on in that same game, yes, it got to penalties. I'm sure you could see that a whole lot of people will be saying, oh, penalty is a game of luck, it's a game of lottery. But there's a reason you train for the penalties. There's a reason you have a set-piece coach, right? And you know that games, especially games of this magnitude, they can get to 90 minutes, they can get to 120. And after 120 minutes and still a draw, then we go to penalties. Is it a case of the Super Eagles of Nigeria not getting ready for that one? Because Yasin Bono is a goalkeeper. We saw what he did at the 2022 World Cup right there in the quarterfinals against Spain. We saw what he did right there in the quarterfinals. So what is going on? Is it that the set-piece coach of the Super Eagles of Nigeria is not working, or the players just fell apart and say, oh, look, we don't know if we are going to take this penalty, or we are not prepared for our penalty shootouts?
Well, the hallmark of that kind of game is for it to be able to become. Remember, the Moroccans lost first. They lost their penalty kick first, and that gave us an advantage. They handed us the advantage. What we just needed was to ensure that spot kick, and that we did not do. I hope we are not going to start the streak of the Netherlands. I will take it back to the Netherlands. They lost 6 penalty kicks from 1990 till they actually won one. I think in 2022 or 2018, if I'm not mistaken.
What I'm even surprised is that the Moroccans have never won a penalty up until that game. I was surprised. They've never won a penalty shootout. I think in the Afcon, they've never won a penalty shootout in the Afcon up until that game. All right, Maiwa, are you still with me?
Yeah,
All right.
can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so the thing is, I think it's a case of did not learn our lesson against DR Congo. Against DR Congo, I would have expected, the coaching crew to have worked on how we take our penalty kick. The moment the Moroccans lost a penalty, we would have taken advantage of that. Not do that. We lost our first. A lot of people might come and say, sports kick for anybody can remember that as a sports kick and the rest of that. However, of stakes like this, when advantage is handed to you, you take it with both hands. That is when you ensure you are laser focused and you ensure that you score the goal. Of they played the second round, the end of season with 10 men for over 6 and you got to spot kick. They were so focused, they didn't miss any of their chances, they didn't miss any advantage handed to them, and that was what got them to the quarterfinals. We could have done the same thing yesterday, and we didn't do that. I hope, to take this lesson, work on how we are supposed to do it. As far as I'm concerned,
Okay, I think there's a network glitch there with Maiwa. And I think the Super Eagles of Nigeria, maybe they will learn from this one going into that third place game, against Egypt, because Morocco will face Senegal in the final, while Nigeria will take on Egypt in the third place match. Yes, you might say it's a dead rubber game. Maybe not what you're expecting, from Super Eagles, because the way they've been going on about in this tournament, a lot of people were expecting them to be in the final. But then you have to beat who is in front of you. You have to take it that way. The performance has led to the third place game, and of course, yes, it will be up against Egypt. Maiwa, welcome back. Maiwa, I want to quickly speak on Calvin Bassey. I mean, did it look like it was a target in that game? Because ultimately, he will be missing the third place game. If Nigeria had qualified to the final, he will be missing the final as well because of the yellow card that he got. Was it a case of him being targeted in that game? Because, I just don't understand. What do you think is going on? What did you think went on, with Calvin Bassey in that game? Because for me, I don't think that was a yellow card. I don't even think that was a foul at all on Brahim Diaz. Okay, Maiwa, hope you join us quickly.
Yeah, can you hear me?
All right, Maiwa, let's go on.
Yeah, I said Morocco cannot be bailing you out. And you don't expect them to be favored. Remember the last time, the CAF Awards was held, the one Adama Lukman won. Ashraf Hakimi was very angry.
Yes.
He said they already informed him that he was going to win, and that did not happen. And Morocco was one in that particular occasion. So the thing is, it's very simple. The last 6 competitions that have been held in Africa has gone to Morocco. So you don't expect, CAF not to find a way to favor them. I think the officiating was very poor yesterday. The calls were ridiculous. The yellow card to Brahim, the yellow card to Calvin Bassey. I was scratching my head to understand the reason why. Brahim Diaz actually, first of all, fouled, Calvin Bassey. And the next thing I'm saying is Calvin Bassey on the yellow card. So I don't understand the officiating. Even some of the calls were suspicious, to be honest with you. But in any case, we cannot continue to cry over spilled milk. The game is done and dusted. We have lost. But however, I hope CAF can do better. Also, apart from blaming CAF, we also have to point the fingers at other African countries. What is the reason why other African countries cannot step up and host competitions? It will surprise you that, some countries in Africa, they don't have an accredited stadium to even play their own games. That's the reason why we have, Benin Republic going to play in Cote d'Ivoire. We have Lesotho, Zimbabwe, and the rest of them playing in South Africa. I think other African countries have to step up, because if they don't step up, the fact that Morocco is bailing out CAF will be a tool to blackmail CAF with, and we are seeing the result.
Of course, we are seeing the results, and of course, as much as I actually personally enjoy the Moroccan side, for their football, they won't be beating the allegations anytime soon, because it's not even from this game against Super Eagles. The first game against Comoros, Yeah, they had the dubious penalty calls, the game against Mali too. In fact, all their group stage game, maybe the one against Zambia, yes. Then the round of 16 game against Tanzania, there was this call for a penalty, and for the Tanzanians in the dying minutes, the ref ignored that one and called that game. Against Cameroon too, there were calls. The Cameroonians were also complaining. In fact, it has led to Samuel Eto'o, the president of the FA, being banned for some games and being fined too. Now the Super Eagles of Nigeria, Morocco, yes, they've been playing really well. Personally, I feel like Naif Aged, their centre-back, should be paired with Calvin Bassey when the team of the tournament comes out. He has been fantastic for them, but then for things like this will only, mar your performances, because I feel like they outplayed the Super Eagles of Nigeria in that game. Yes, the press and all of that, but then, the antics from the referee, I think it's make their performance to look very, very, very ordinary. And of course, but then they are still in the final. And quickly, before we move on, Maiwa, Senegal against Morocco in that final. Quickly, we are still going to do a preview of that, later on the course of the shows. Quickly, how do you see that final panning out? Even if they want to play with antics and all of that, do you think all these antics will affect the Senegalese team going into that game?
I think the truth is this: unless something drastically happens, unless Morocco plays so poorly that even help from CAF will not do anything, that is when Morocco will not win this competition.
Wow!
It is as sure as tomorrow's sun will rise, Morocco will win this game. They are winning this competition, and that's not the truth. You can see the calls against us. It was terrible, and we are not the only country. Can you play about Comoros complained? Mali complained, Tanzania complained, Cameroon complained. Wow. 4 different countries. Nigeria complained. 5 different countries. You played 6 games, 5 of them complained. So it shows something is wrong. And they are playing against a Senegalese side. Yes, Senegal has been very, very effective. They've been playing good football. They have the quality to be able to do it. But the question is this: can they overcome the enormous, principalities working against them? Can they overcome the enormous principalities working against them? I don't think so. I think the bad officiating from Morocco will continue. It takes me back to Korea, Japan 2002. Remember the funny calls that Korea got that got them to the semi-final? Against Italy, yes. Against Spain. Italy. Yeah. Against Italy, against Spain. You remember the ridiculous calls they got? I will not be surprised if you see the same thing on Sunday. Except something magical happens, except maybe Senegal score first and something happens and they defended with their life, and the referee, we do not have an opportunity to give them a soft penalty. Yeah. That is only when Senegal will win. As far as I'm concerned, I think Morocco wins it.
Wow. Even personally, I think Mayowa wants Senegal to win that one because he mentioned earlier that it's watching. But let's quickly move on. Still on that game, Victor Osimhen, yes, the Nigerian captain on the night, he has come out and he expressed pride in the Super Eagles squad despite their semi-final defeat to Morocco in the Africa Cup of Nations. And of course, the team lost 4-2 on penalties after a goalless draw with Samuel Chukwueze and Bruno Yemechi missing their spot kicks. Osimhen attributed the defeat to the difficulty in building momentum during the 120 minutes game, praising Morocco's tactical prowess and strong defense. And Osimhen emphasized that both teams had moments but were contained by each other's defense. And he noted that Morocco's strikers didn't get much ball possession and that Nigeria struggled to break through their defense. And despite the loss, Osimhen remains optimistic about the squad's future, stating, "I think there is more and greater things to come from this squad." I want to hold Osimhen right there on that one, saying on that statement, saying he thinks that there is more and greater things to come from this squad. There will be if a certain Eric Sekuchel, is left on the job. There are calls from the Tunisian team. We are also hearing that Angola and Guinea, even though I think that Tunisian one will be put to bed now because they just employed the manager Sabri Lamouchi. Yes, he has replaced Sami Chabelsi, of course, and going into the World Cup, they will be having a certain Sabri Lamouchi, and I think that Tunisian one is out of the way. Maiwa, do you think Eric Chelle, after all of this, we mentioned that on the show yesterday, even on Monday, do you think Eric Chelle should still remain as the coach of the Super Eagles of Nigeria? Yes, winning the Afcon, ultimately, he can't achieve that anymore. Maybe a bronze medal can keep him on the job. Do you think so?
Well, whether he wins a bronze medal or not, I think the NFF has lost every right to fire an Chelle. Remember the mess they put us through where the players had to protest before they gave them their money. So I mean, the players even did so well after coming through all those, after coming from all those to be able to win their game. They were able to concentrate and win their game. So the NFF does not have any leverage. I think Chelle has a lot of leverage. I think definitely we've said it. We can only get better if we allow Chelle to continue to build. We can see what he's trying to build, and yes, he has the potential to be able to do it. The last 4 games were very, very fantastic. The last 5 games rather.
5 games.
Yes. Yeah. The last 5 games. No, 5.5 because second half was the first game. That was when we played well. The first half we didn't really play well.
It's even 4.5. It's 4.5 because yesterday's zone was nothing to write home about really.
Yeah, yesterday's zone was below par. So 4.5 games, he has shown that he has a vision and he can build it. What he needs to do is to create more squad depth. And if we had squad depth yesterday, we could probably have gotten a better replacement for and that was not available. So I think the NFF should leave him now and let him continue with the job. However, the big question is this: if I were Chelle, with the profile I've been able to build for myself, if a World Cup team comes knocking, and I'm 100% sure, probably they might fire Osana Sam because Egypt is not playing very well. Also,
absolutely,
they might fire him. If they fire, Osana Sam, that would be a great opportunity for him.
Or even Petkovic of Algeria.
Yeah. Algeria, yes. Ivory Coast is out of the tournament. They can try to fire their coach. So, for me, if I were Chelle, I would wait, continue with my job with Super Eagles. However, if a team that is going to the World Cup comes calling, definitely I will dump the Super Eagles and get down. The reason for that is very simple. We know how and if I'm 100% sure they are also owning our coaches. This is not the first time they are doing it.
Of course.
Why would I stay with the country that owes me when I have a country that is going to the World Cup and will pay me much more than a country that is owing me?
In fact, a country that is willing to pay up to 5 times what you are currently getting. Now you're not even getting, from the Super Eagles of Nigeria. I mean, Eric Chelle, personally, I feel he should still remain on the job. This is a man, is still unbeaten over 90 minutes. For me, I think a good one. For even unbeaten over 120 minutes, you can put it that way. I mean, good one from the man himself. But then, just like Bayawa said, if there is a World Cup team that is, even if it's not an African team, it might be maybe a country from Asia or even a European team that wants to see that, oh, this is what you've done with the Super Eagles of Nigeria. I think Eric Chelle should be on his way. And this is not just on him or on us. I mean, it's what the NFF has shown us over the years. And trust me, there's no one that will want to stay with the NFF if they keep up with this behavior. And Osimhen has previously praised Chelle for transforming the team, crediting him for knowing when to unleash the beast in players. I mean, that game against Algeria, if not for anything that you want to appoint Chelle for, watch that game against Algeria and trust me, he will get the job. He will get the job because it was a fantastic, it was masterclass from Eric Chelle and also from the boys. And also still on the topic of the Afcon, yes, Nigeria, they've been scoring from the first game up until the semi-finals, but then, unfortunately, over 90 minutes, they didn't get the goal. Nigeria Super Eagles ended their remarkable Africa Cup of Nations scoring run after being held to a goalless draw by host Morocco at the 2025 tournament. And the team had scored in 12 consecutive matches, even a previous Afcon edition, even in other games as well, establishing a reputation for efficiency and variety in attack. And this streak began at the 2023 finals with a 1-1 draw against Equatorial Guinea and continued through wins over Ivory Coast, Guinea-Bissau, Cameroon, Angola, and South Africa. And the Super Eagles scoring sequence remained intact even after their defeat to Ivory Coast. Yes, that was 2-1 in the 2023 final. And they carried this momentum into the 2025 tournament, winning matches against Tanzania, Tunisia, Uganda, Mozambique, and Algeria. And their 2-0 win over Algeria took Nigeria's goal tally to 14, equaling Cameroon's record for most goals scored, at a single Afcon edition. They could have broken that, but I think they will still break that. They will still break that, when they get to that game up against Egypt. And the goalless draw against Morocco ended Nigeria's historic scoring streak and altered their sequence of scoring at least 2 goals in each of their previous 5 matches. And this was only the second time in their history that the Super Eagles have scored in 5 consecutive matches at a single edition. Maiwa, should we praise Eric Chelle because he has found a way to turn this team into a goal-scoring machine? Should we praise Eric Chelle for that?
Yes, we should praise him for that. Remember, leading up to this particular tournament, we joked a whole lot on this show that we are Osimhen FC. I think that
he has changed that. He has changed that one. We should give him. We should give him that. He has changed it. He has changed that narrative.
Yeah, true. Players can come in now and score the goals. And for me, if I were Chelle, I'll be planning a massive defeat for Egypt. Do you know why I want to do that? I want to get Osama Sam off that job. If the coup what I'll be planning is to whitewash Egypt like 4-5-0.
So that they can consider you as the manager.
Yeah, if that happens, Osama Sam loses his job, then I get hired by Egypt. And that's what I'll be planning. And to be honest with you, with the way Egypt is playing, with the way they have played so far, if we show up the way we showed up against Algeria, Egypt is not escaping, conceding 4 goals against Nigeria. And if that happens, Eric Chelle might be the one taking Egypt to the World Cup, to be honest with you.
Mayowa, why are you so interested in letting Eric Chelle leave the Super Eagles of Nigeria? I mean, we want progression in our football, and it seems like we're already seeing somebody that will lead us to the promised land one day.
Well, the thing is, it's not a matter of leading us to the promised land. It's about, the governing body running our football doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Let me take you back to One Drum. Randy One Drum almost lost his house because the NFF were owing him. And one of the reasons why they even allowed him to have 2 jobs, coaching Washington Spirit and Washington Spirit, that university in US, and the Super Falcons, was because of this kind of thing. That's the reason why he almost lost his house. The last interview he was almost crying, and they are still owing him money till now. Only say, for over 6 years now, he's been owed over $30,000.
Wow.
So if we have seen, a federation that has over 30 years history of owing people, why would I want to advise Chelle to stay? I'm a Nigerian, and because of what the body that's running our football is doing, which is a disgrace to Nigerians and everybody that supports the Super Eagles, I would not want to put Chelle in that particular situation. What if Chelle has a mortgage on his house and he'll probably lose the house because NFF is not paying him? So if another country comes that will pay, since the NFF is not serious, even the same NFF that announced that they gave him 2-year contract when they are availing him, they came out again and told us that they just signed him, they just extended the contract. But by 2 years, does that even make any sense? They don't even keep track of what they have told us. So does that show an organization that is serious? No, it does not. So I will not be surprised if after this, paparazzi goes down, he has done so well, because of that, maybe they pay him now for a couple of months. In the next 5-6 months, we start hearing news of Chelle being owed 2-3 months salary.
And there's no guarantee that even if he keeps the job now, and maybe we'll go into a certain qualifiers and we don't win games, he might lose the job again, and he will be thinking that, hey, I should have left this job a long time ago. Don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. I think, to be honest with you, the way the NFF is being run, you cannot be loyal to them, and that's just the honest truth. As an employer, the way you treat your employee is what is going to, invoke loyalty from them. The way the NFF has treated those that have worked for them has been very poor, and definitely it does not inspire, loyalty. Pasero was old. Genetra was old.
Wow.
Olise was old. Amadou Shuaibu of Blessed Memory was old. Stephen Ketchy of Blessed Memory that won the Nations Cup was old. Finidi George was old. Everybody old. We can't continue this way.
Oh my God, at the NFF, that they can't continue this way, to be very, very honest. Amaewa, you mentioned something about the Moroccans earlier, saying that CAF seems to be giving them all the favors, but trust me, I'm not the only one, because Assistant Oshuala, of course, the Super Falcon striker, has questioned the Confederation of African Football, CAF, their focus on Morocco, suggesting it's time for other countries to host major tournaments. Of course, she's, I think, expressing what Mayowa said. She's echoing that. She expressed her views on social media, stating that everything concerning African football seems to happen in Morocco, making it feel like the new headquarters. And Oshuala believes Nigeria can host the Africa Cup of Nations through regional collaboration with neighboring countries like Cameroon, Ghana, Benin Republic, and Togo. And she emphasized that with commitment, co-hosting is realistic and will promote broader inclusion. and our comments follow Morocco's qualification to the Afcon final, sparking debates on regional balance and hosting opportunities for other African nations. Maiwa, would you certainly, agree with what Asad Oshuala has said here? But if you do, what is, the Super Eagles? Not the Super Eagles. The NFF and the Nigerian government in general. Don't you think they should be listening to what this lady has said, and they should be thinking of, even if you don't want to host alone, why not think of other countries, bordering you, sharing a border with you, and of course, planning on something to co-host a major tournament? Don't you think that will bring an end to all of this, Morocco being the headquarters of CAF now?
Well, the thing is you will not blame Morocco. Morocco has always been stepping up. Remember the last under-17 tournament, World Cup tournament that was held. It was held in Morocco, and the reason for that was because the African countries were supposed to host. I can't remember the name now. Tried to pull out. Yeah. The same thing happened with the Afcon too. Egypt was supposed to host. They pulled out. They said they couldn't cover it. I think Africa needs to step up. A whole lot of African countries, they are misbehaving. Some African countries cannot even boast of a stadium that is FIFA accredited. Nigeria, I don't think Nigeria can host anything right now, if we are being honest with ourselves.
Wow, why?
We don't have any stadium ready. About 27 years ago, Nigeria 99 was held in Nigeria here. We had 8 stadiums that were newly built. Where are these stadiums today? Go to the Abuja National Stadium. It was because they wanted to play a testimonial. That was why a particular private company that is sponsoring that particular, private match decided to renovate the Abuja National Stadium. It is as bad as that. The Super Eagles of Nigeria, they are at the mercy of the Uyo state government. If Uyo state government does not take care of the Uyo National Stadium, Nigeria do not have a home to play.
You remember what happened between Remo Stars and Mamelodi Sundowns, where Kule came out later after that qualifier, after it has been done and dusted, and he came out to say Sundowns were offering Remo Stars to come and play both legs in South Africa. Don't you think that's the height of it, Maiwa?
No, the thing is, you will not blame them when we don't have FIFA accredited stadium. We do not have it. It's as bad as that. And it's not only Nigeria. This is something that is happening across Africa. How do you explain it? The last 5 major competitions has gone to Morocco. The next Afcon is going back to Morocco. And the reason why I start to show is speaking out right now is our girls will train and put in all their effort. They want the trophy to Morocco. Remember what happened the last time when Morocco did not win? The referee got fired. Everybody that were involved in that particular game, they were sanctioned one way or the other because Morocco did not win, because they felt they made the wrong call. And the same tournament is going back to Morocco again. And you expect Morocco not to win? It's not possible. Can you host 5-6 tournaments back to back in Morocco? How? And you expect them not to be entitled? They won't be entitled. It's high time other African countries step up and do the right thing. The corruption, in other African countries is so glaring, and that's the reason why there's no infrastructure. Look at the Moroccans. Look at Morocco. They can boast of different infrastructure that can host FIFA grade tournaments. How many Africa can do it? How many African countries can do it? Maybe a South Africa, maybe an Egypt. The rest will be scratching their head.
It's sad. When you look at everything, you can't blame the Moroccans eventually, because they've been preparing for this for a long time, and it seems like they're the only one, maybe aside the certain South Africa, they're the only one, stepping out, standing up and be counted by CAF, in terms of hosting and all of that. So you can't really give them, can't really place all the blame on them. But not going as far as finding favors, even in big tournaments. It will only bring shame to you, to be very, very honest. Away from African football and Afcon in general, let's move on. Let's go on to Europe, and let's talk about Real Madrid, because trust me, it's not looking good in their locker room right now at Real Madrid, as a Spanish-based club, because Real Madrid suffered a shock 3-2 defeat, to Albacete in the Copa del Rey last 16, yesterday, with Alvaro Arbeloa's debut as coach ending in defeat. And of course, Albacete, who are currently 17th in Spain's second division, took the lead through Javi Villa, but Franco Mastantuono equalized just before halftime. Yefte scored the winner for Albacete in stoppage time after Gonzalo Garcia's 91st minute goal looked to have forced extra time. And Arbeloa's side struggled without the key players like Kylian Mbappe and the first half was played under heavy fog. Vinicius Jr. had a chance to equalize, but it was Albacete who dominated after the break, with Yefte scoring the decisive goal. And this defeat adds to Real Madrid woes, having lost the Spanish Super Cup to Barcelona on Sunday. And President Florentino Perez replaced Xabi Alonso with Arbeloa, who selected 2 reserve team players for the match. Don't you think this is looking like Arbeloa might not even last this month? The way Real Madrid, you know the way Real Madrid move on a normal day. Arbeloa, maybe first start, first defeat, debut game. Do you think he's going to hold on to this job long term, or this should just call for calm? We should call for calm now. We shouldn't be too jittery about Real Madrid at this point, Maiwa.
Where I was yesterday watching that particular game, and this is not more on a lighter note, everybody there, they were investors, they were screaming, match fixing, match fixing, match fixing, match fixing. Because how do you explain Madrid? And the investors have invested heavily. How do you explain the Madrid losing to, Albacete? I mean, it's all unheard of. And, and the thing is, I think there's a decline, there's a disunity in the dressing room of Real Madrid. Remember the circumstances that led to Alonso leaving. Kylian Mbappe feels bigger than Alonso. Remember, Alonso wanted to give Barcelona a guard of honor.
Yeah.
Kylian Mbappe resisted, and every other player, followed suit, even making Alonso look stupid. And that was one of the reasons why Alonso left angrily. So I think there's a need for them to bring a marquee coach that can get all the players in order, that can show the players that none of them is bigger than the team. I think at the moment the disunity in the team is what is very insulting. And the Kylian Mbappe factor is also affecting Real Madrid negatively. I said it here, I think about 2 years ago, when Kylian Mbappe wanted to join Real Madrid. I said there was no reason for Kylian Mbappe to join Real Madrid. He will come in and cause a whole lot of distraction. Look at their performances. Mbappe has joined in. It has been on the decline. Games that they are not supposed to lose, they are losing it. And the team, there's a lot of disunity, there's a lot of faction in the team. I think they need a very big coach that can rein in on Kylian Mbappe and his gang in order to get there, to get the Real Madrid team.
So why are you suggesting?
Why
are you suggesting, Maiwa? Why are you suggesting in terms of coaches to step up for Real Madrid?
I think a particular selection that can come in for a short stint.
How many times now? This will be installed if he gets it. This will be installed time. How many times?
I think to study the ship, for them to be able to bring a manager that can quench the egos of these coaches. And I think the coach that can do it now, that I'm looking at probably definitely a Pep will not want to come to Real Madrid because of the Barcelona issue. He will never want to coach in Real Madrid, so Pep is out of it. Probably if they can tell a Jurgen Klopp to come back, I think he has the personality, to rein in on all these players that feel they are too big for the coaches. The new coach Arbeloa, I don't think he has the balls to be able to go against the players and get them into shape. I don't think so. I think player power wins over Arbeloa, and this poor state of result continues for Real Madrid.
Absolutely. I think right now what Real Madrid needs is actually a manager that can take care of the ego of the players. They need a player manager much more than a system manager, because the last system manager, Xabi Alonso, if you can be told by a player to reject a guard of honor, then that means that the player, he has power over you and he can tell you anything. If he says, okay, look, don't be on the touchline for our game, we don't want to see you, you won't be there, because it's like he's having more power than you. And Real Madrid should really act fast, because their season might just crumble if it goes on like this. Zinedine Zidane will not be bad. He's been there. He's won 3 Champions League in a row for them. He can do it again. Who knows? And let's see who comes up at the end of the day. It's been a wonderful show so far, but let's quickly wrap this up with Arsenal and Chelsea in the Carabao Cup. Arsenal secured a 3-2 win over Chelsea in the Carabao Cup semi-final first leg at Stamford Bridge, thanks to goals from Ben White, Victor Gyökeres, and Martin Zubimendi. And Chelsea's Alejandro Garnacho scored twice, but it wasn't enough to prevent Arsenal from taking a strong lead into the second leg. Maiwa, quickly, that game was, I won't say tight, but then it just showed that both teams can concede goals. Arsenal ultimately coming up 3-2. Is the away goal rule still, effective in the Carabao Cup? If it is, then Arsenal, they have a massive advantage, scoring 3 goals at, the Stamford Bridge. They have 1 foot in the final, Arsenal, because they got that win, and it's going to be a very, very difficult job for Chelsea at the Emirates Stadium. Are you seeing Arsenal, Manchester City in the final, or do you think Chelsea can turn this one around?
Well, Chelsea has the opportunity to do it. It's just one goal, and Liam Rosenau has a point to prove. I don't think the away goal rule applies here.
Yeah.
If it ends 1-0, probably maybe they go to extra time and the rest of that. So, but the game is very tight. 3-2 is not a margin you can sleep on. An early goal at the Emirates, can put Arsenal in panic. So all hope is not lost. Arsenal can do it. Liam Rosenau, has a point to prove, and this is the time for him to be able to do it. I can't even say who will go to the final. Newcastle can come up and shock Man City. We don't
that
know
would be tough. Is that the Etihad? That would be tough.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, but you can't say Newcastle can just show up and Man City has lost at the Etihad before. It's not a place that they've never lost at. So it can happen, but it's going to be very tight. But with the way Arsenal is going, they have a way of winning games. I think they probably edge it over, Chelsea, so can probably make it to the final.
All right. Thank you so much, Maiwa, for being a part of the show today.
Well, it's always amazing to be here, and I'm hoping that Senegal do West African proud and knock out Morocco in the final. Thank you for having me, Hafiz.
All right, we are wishing Maiwa a successful 8th watch. I don't know if the likes of Jerry and Ikechukwu will be planning to do the same thing, but for me, I think I'll just remain on the fence, Yes, this is where we'll be calling it a wrap on the show Locker Room for today. Thank you so much for being a part of this one. Also, big thanks to the guys behind the scenes for making this show a success. Up next is Political Lens with Chukwuma Okorio. I am Hafiz Ogubanjo. Stay tuned.
VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice.
This is Health Check, your weekly guide to better living, smarter choices, and trusted answers. From everyday wellness to urgent health issues, we've got you covered. Health Check, only on Voice of the People television, where your health has a voice.
In a world where truth is the ultimate power and opinions scream the loudest, it's time to wade through the noise.
Hunger no get tribe! Hunger no get religion!
And scan the human interest and trending topics that matter. Stay tuned to The Issues, your plug to the stories making the buzz, from politics to science and technology, social justice, and more. Let's tackle the tough questions and expose the truth. The Issues on Voice of the People television, Mondays to Fridays, 8 to 9 p.m. The Issues. Don't just react, understand.
Africa is on the move, a continent of rising voices, untold stories, and powerful transformations. From the streets of Lagos to the heart of Nairobi, from the mines of Congo to the tech labs of Cape Town, the African story is being written every day. Bold, dynamic, unstoppable. This is African News on Voice of the People television. We don't just bring you the news. We analyze and bring you Africa's heartbeat, the politics that shapes our nations, the economies that drives our future, the cultures that defines who we are, the voice that must be heard. Africa News, Africa's voice, Africa's future. Where Africa speaks, the world listens.
Do you want your voice to be heard? Do you know that you matter in the scheme of things? The People's Voice, the show where ordinary citizens take center stage as we discuss the biggest stories that affect you and I. With you in mind, we facilitate lively discussions, debates, and interviews on the topics that matter most to you and I. From social justice to economic empowerment, education to healthcare, governance and more. Tackling tough topics and amplifying your voice. Join the conversation and make your voice count. The People's Voice. Make your voice count.
We encourage you to click on the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Voice of the People TV. Also follow us on all our social media platforms. We are at VOP TV Live. Visit our website www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. Also watch us live on SLTV channel 264. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television.
In a world where power shifts with every headline.
In a nation full of questions.
In a world filled with noise, the truth needs a voice.
The policies that shapes our world and the economy that determines our future.
Every hour, every day, the grapevine keeps buzzing. And together, we are committed to telling the stories that shape our world because your voice is our focus.
Don't forget, our voice matters the most. Let us come together and share our concerns.
Behind every broken desk lies a broken promise. Education shapes the nations. But who is asking the right questions? Introducing Edu Dialogue, the show that goes beyond the surface, exposes the cracks, the corruption, and the silence in Nigeria's education system. Edu Dialogue, Saturdays, 3 p.m., only on VOP TV. We break the biggest stories, from missing funds to policy failures. We ask the tough questions and demand real answers. Edu Dialogue, this Saturday, 3 p.m. on Voice of the People Television.
The red carpets, awards, the razzmatazz, music, fashion, interviews, and more. Spotlight on Voice of the People Television. Let's feed you with all the juicy stories in the global entertainment space, bringing you the glitz and glamour as it is hot. Stay tuned to Spotlight, 1 p.m. Monday to Friday. Spotlight on VOP TV. Entertainment like never before.
The 2564 is coming up on Burning 9 right?
The 2564 Atlantic Tower.
What happens in the hush behind hangar doors? Who signs the papers that gamble with lives? Which truths were grounded before they even ever had wings? If you've ever buckled a seatbelt at 30,000 feet, if you've ever stared out of that tiny window and wondered who's really in control of the skies, it isn't just flight, it's power, it's politics, it's pressure sealed in steel. We're peeling back the clouds from runway risks to sky-high secrets. We're diving deep where most dare not to look. Aviation Scope, every Sunday at 7 p.m. only on Voice of the People TV. We don't just report, we reveal. We don't just ask, we uncover. Because when it comes to the skies, ignorance is turbulence. Aviation Scope, the sky isn't the limit, it's just the beginning.
ready for the extraordinary? Something big is happening on your screen. Introducing VOP TV. Now streaming on SLTV channel 264. From breaking news to captivating conversations, news analysis, giving you all sides to the story. We break in-depth discussions on the issues that matter, from politics to sports, entertainment, and lifestyle. VOP TV on SLTV channel 264. Join us as we redefine what television means to you. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice.
Hello there, good evening, and thanks for joining us on Political Lens. I am Chukwuma Okoro. Well, in case you don't know, we are broadcasting on Metro SLTV channel 264 on YouTube and other social media platforms. We are at VOP TV Live. You can also be a part of this conversation by calling in or sending WhatsApp messages to the number scrolling on your screen. On the show today, Obi Atiku Amechi in trouble as group approaches court to deregister ADC, that's the African Democratic Congress. Away from that, two more lawmakers pull out of Fubara's impeachment plot, and U.S. to stop processing all visas to Nigerians. And I've been joined in the studio here by Barrister Darlington Agomo. Barrister Agomo is a lawyer and political affairs analyst. Good evening, Barrister Agomo, and thanks for joining me on Political Lens.
Good evening, Mr. Koro. It's my pleasure to be here.
Big one. I appreciate your presence, sir. Now, let's get into it. The Federal High Court in Abuja is set to hear a suit seeking the deregistration of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, and four other political parties over alleged constitutional and electoral infractions. The case filed by the National Forum of Former Legislators, NFFL, is scheduled for hearing on February 16, 2026, and targets ADC, Accord Party, Zenith Labour Party, Action Alliance, and Action People's Party, AAP. The NFFL argues that the affected parties have consistently failed to meet mandatory benchmarks required under the 1999 Constitution as amended, particularly provisions guiding party performance and compliance. While central to the suit is Section 2225, subsection A of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which empowers authorities to withdraw recognition from political parties that do not satisfy statutory and performance standards. According to the forum, the continued existence of non-performing political parties